to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. If you've gotten to know me even a little bit by now, then you know that finding ways to increase productivity is always one of my goals. One that I would actually say, though, and characterize as a constant work in progress, okay? Well, my guest today, Pamela Durkin, is the author of Elevate and the owner of Pamela Durkin Designs, and she has a promise that got my attention. Get more done in one day than you used to get done in an entire week. Hello, you are talking to me. And I think she might be talking to you too, right? I'm always looking for ways to increase productivity for myself and for you. Pamela has been a professional designer for 30 years who has been successfully running residential and commercial business. The recession in 2010 hit her hard, and that was her turning point. She realized that she was taking any job she could, and the time she was spending on her business wasn't equivalent or an adequate income to the time that she was putting in. Plus, it was taking time away from her family. Taking matters into her own hands, Pamela learned to take back control and come out on top. And she's going to teach us how to do it. Yay. Before we get to my conversation with Pamela, let me remind you of our monthly Inside Voice, Outside Voice private Zoom meetings with me. Each month, we get together for an informal conversation on various topics related to both business and life. Just 2 weeks ago, we discussed setting up your weekly calendar and how to be sure you are always working in and on your business every week, much like we're going to learn about today. But in Inside Voice, Outside Voice, you are there live with me, and you can ask me questions. Sometimes I have a guest, and if I do, you can ask the guest the questions. The other aspect of Inside Voice, Outside Voice is that each month I donate 1/2 of the proceeds to charity. It's $36 for you to attend, and $18 of every $36 goes to a charity. We have over the last year featured the Beanstalk Library located in High Point, which is dedicated completely to the interior design industry. The Vogue Room, which is a company that selects a first-generation child of color who is going to college and decorates their room. How cool is that? Artists for Humanity, which is an outstanding organization in the Boston area, which empowers young teens to create art and then helps them sell it to learn the business side of their creative talent. How cool is that? We've also donated to NAMI, the National Association for Mental Illness. So all kinds of things. It's a cool thing. I've been doing it for a year, but recently 2 people that are close to me said that they hadn't heard about it. So I thought it was time to remind you. Go to InsideVoiceOutsideVoice.com to learn more. July meeting is July 7th, and my special guest will be Sarah Brennan talking about process and system, right? Okay, let's get ready for Pamela to give us some eye-opening tips on how we can time block to increase productivity and how to be more mindful of what we are spending our time on. Hey, Pam, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thanks, LuAnn. So glad to be here.
So, Pam, I am interested in this book that you've written called Elevate. Very exciting book. I have to tell you, I didn't realize it until I started preparing for our interview today. So I can't tell you that I've read it already, but I did order it and I will be reading it. A couple things, though, intrigued me out of this book. And anyone who's a longtime listener of the show is going to be like, of course, that's what LuAnn centered on. So here's the thing.
Yep.
This one line on the blurb of the book, get more done in one day than you used to get done an entire week. Like that's a
Mm,
you have me at hello line, Pam.
nice. Yes, I had you at get more done, I think, right?
Exactly, exactly. Especially, more in one day than I used to be able to get done in a week because, increasing productivity for me is a thing. I mean, I coach with Amber de la Garza. Oh my goodness, it's 2.5 years. I'm uncoachable, I think, at this point, but I keep going back for more. The poor woman keeps trying to reform me. And actually, you know what? I'm going to cut myself a break here. I actually have made great strides working
Yeah.
with Amber. I truly have. And I think that's why this line caught my attention, Pam, because it always intrigues me the things that I don't know about the ways have gone about doing things in my day that a
Hmm.
little tidbit from someone like yourself
Right.
opens and unlocks like an aha moment. So talk to us a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, I think that we are in such a time and business where we just react. We're just reacting day in and day out. And I'm sure you've said this to yourself. I've said it to myself. There may be some nods in the audience where you, at the end of the day, you're like, what did I do today? What did I
Mm.
get done today? Right? Where did the day go? And I have been using this time blocking for several years now, and it has evolved with me. That's the nice thing about time blocking is as you get used to it, as things progress in your business, you alter how it works for you. But I think it just really keeps you top of mind as to what's super important for you and your business by putting blocks in your calendar with certain specific items that you want to accomplish either that day or that week or that quarter.
So walk us through a little bit. How do you approach it? Are you one of the individuals that is a proponent of sitting down on Sunday night and looking at your week ahead? Do you do it Friday afternoon? Do you do it every morning? Walk us through the details, Pam.
Yeah, so I used to, well, first of all, I have standard items in my calendar. So I
Okay.
actually block out like sleeping, things like that to make sure that I'm getting plenty of rest. That's a factor that really affects how I feel the next day. So for me, that's super important to make sure that I'm getting that. So I will put things in that never change 7 days a week, which is, my sleep schedule, my morning routine, which again works for me. And you've heard this over and over about the morning routine. I think people need to know whenever we call it your golden hour, whenever your golden hour is, that's when you should be doing some of these dreaming, thinking, strategizing for your business. So for me, it's the morning. So I do a morning routine where I do some reading and I do some strategizing. And then, I exercise every day. And for me, again, the mornings are the great time for that. So I put these blocks in that do not change.
Hmm.
And then I work the rest of my week around that. For instance, I do client meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays because if I can group those together, then I can have days in the office that I need to actually, delegate the work, do the work, maybe come back and make some decisions about what needs to be done. Because if we take meetings every day of the week, then when do we have time, any focus time to sit down and figure out
Mm.
who's going to do the next item on the list? So I have dedicated meeting days. And then I also like to have Fridays are my days for, I do a lot of calls on Friday, and then I do a lot of accounting work and things that need to be handled from an accounting perspective on Fridays. And then the other times I fill in the mornings what I need to be doing for that day or for that week.
Okay, so just let's get in the weeds on this morning routine for a minute here.
Hmm.
So, in your morning routine, there's a time dedicated for reading, there's a time dedicated for strategizing, which is like working on your business. I'm going to assume that to mean,
Yes.
and
Yes.
exercise. So, is this 1 hour? Is this 2 hours? Is this 4 hours? Like, what's the morning routine look like?
So that whole section is about 2 hours.
2 hours. And is this
Hmm.
is this the type of thing where you're up before, like, I don't know what your household is like. Are there other people in your household?
There are, but I'm an empty nester right now, so it's not as critical in terms of getting people out the door,
Mm.
like some of us have to deal with. But so my day usually starts at 6.
Okay. So you're accomplishing this before like the actual day, basically. It's not like
Yes.
I'm getting up at 8 and then, 10 o'clock I'm rolling out through my day.
Yeah, because I'm a morning person. So, that's the other thing is this can be done at any time. It's whenever
Mm-hmm.
you're feeling when your energy level is the highest. For me, it's the morning.
Interesting. Have you worked with clients, Pam, like you are a person who works with other interior designers and maximizing their business. So have
hmm
you worked with other designers where they've just said to you, absolutely not, this is not a morning thing for me. I'm going to do my exercise, my reading, and my working on my business at, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, and I don't really, to me, it doesn't matter when it is. To me, I
Right.
want you to be doing it when it works for you, when your energy is at a good time, when you can spend that time and carve it out. It's
Mm-hmm.
the more important thing is that the time's being carved out for that.
Mm. I think that the dilemma that I've always found surrounding this is that if, for example, your ideal physical time
hmm
to do this doesn't feel great for it to be the morning, but what happens is when it's not the morning, I
hmm
find it can get kicked off the plate. You know what I mean?
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
it
it's
gets
the
pushed.
first
Well,
thing.
that's why for me it's
Right.
the morning.
Yes, right. You know what I mean? So there's that little oxymoron in there.
Yeah,
LuAnn isn't feeling so happy and chipper at 6 a.m.
yeah. Gotcha.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
but some people are night owls. Like some people like to do work, get back to it at 10 o'clock at night because maybe they've had that day and they're dealing with kids. And some people, not me, feel energized at 10 o'clock
Right,
at night.
right. Yeah.
And so, you got to work with what works for you.
Yeah, no. And okay, so that's good. So it's just the idea is establish
Mhm.
routines. And then what you're
Yes.
saying is that there are certain things that every single week go into your calendar and they just are on repeat. And
Yes.
then, and of course, if any of us had larger companies, so like, I have a standing 9 o'clock every meeting with the Window Works team and
hmm
different things like that. They just go in on repeat and it just sits there.
Yes.
Now, take us to the next level. So we are trying to get more done in one day than we have in a whole week before that, right? So take us
Yeah.
to the next level. And we are now into those areas which are not repeatable weekly events.
Right.
And
Right.
how do you handle those?
So, one of the items that's in my calendar is late morning, I will check email.
Okay.
So I've put a time in my calendar to check email, and that's twice a day. And most people are probably freaking out right about now. But think about how much a time waster checking email can be if you're looking at it all the time.
Right.
So if you can section off, 30-minute sprints for checking email twice a day, that will help make your time, we need concentrated time to accomplish anything. And what we're doing is we're bouncing from thing to thing to thing. And
Mm.
we're spending a lot of time regrouping and figuring out where we were doing the first thing we were doing when we got distracted by the second thing.
Right.
So I think it's being aware of the fact that we can't bounce around. It's actually hurting our productivity to bounce around from thing to thing. And so just being mindful of what we spend our time on. In the beginning, what you should be doing is, you put these items in your calendar and then you go back at the end of the day and you kind of adjust it to what actually really happens. And so then you start to really become hyper aware of what you're spending your time on, what you're letting slide, and why is that happening?
So what you're saying is you create your ideal calendar and then but when you're learning and I guess basically fine tuning this muscle, you're
Yes.
saying that you almost time track yourself and actually
Yeah, because
adjust
you're
it to
gonna
what you did.
yeah, because all those bad habits of just like I'll get to that tomorrow,
Mhm. Mhm.
you
What do
start to
you
notice it.
use for a strategy on, for example, you used the example of email. So, okay, I can check email twice a day, but if I'm allotting 30 minutes to checking email, in 30 minutes, I'm probably maybe 10 to 20%, I can give an answer off the top of my head, boom, yes, no, maybe, whatever. But the largest percentage of email is going to require another action, or is going to require me to sit and compose an email in response. And if I have, 40 emails in my inboxes, because I've only checked them twice a day,
Right.
What is the strategy for actually completing the things that are coming into me at the emails?
Well, let's back up a little bit. The other item that you can start employing, especially if you're getting that many emails, is a gatekeeper, to be checking your emails and then creating folders for those emails. You're probably getting some that don't require your touch. And that person can then dole them directly out to somebody else. There may be one that says, look at it today, this is urgent, or look at this tomorrow, or I can, dole that out to the person that I can really send that off and you don't even see it. So there is another layer that you can get some help on, which is a gatekeeper for your email.
Okay, so if an interior designer has got even one or two or three people on their team, they don't necessarily need to think of themselves as the one in their email. And if it's, hey, this person wants a status check, then the person doing the gatekeeping might know that goes to the lead designer, or it goes to the procurement officer, or whatever the heck it is. But you're training and trusting someone to siphon off those emails to where they need to go.
Exactly. And so one of the things that I think we should be thinking about is, first of all, we don't need to touch anything, but time has a currency to it. So when you think of it that way, so think of it as there are $10 tasks you're doing, $100 tasks, $1,000 tasks, and $10,000 tasks. And what that means is that's money bringing into your business. Like, think of it that way. Responding to email is really like a $10 task.
It's a $1 task. It's a $1. I hate it.
It's a 1 cent task. Where is your strength? As a business owner, your strength is making connections, moving the business forward, strategizing, and of course, talking to clients, right?
Right.
So why are we putting all our time and effort into email?
Right.
Which is a low level, not low level, but low dollar amount task. And so if we can think about where we're spending our time and how that relates to money in our business, then you really start thinking about, should I even be doing some of these things? That's the other thing. Some of the items that we do in our business, we shouldn't even be doing. We do it because we're perfectionists and we think that's the way we're supposed to do it if we're giving great customer service, but that's not always the case.
It's so funny because so often a conversation will just remind me about the days when there was no email. It was so much better.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever do business before email? Are you old enough to have done that? You don't look like it, so that's why I'm asking.
I think I may have, but it was interesting. Yesterday, the internet went down for like 6 hours.
Oh, see, that's like
and I was like, that's what it was. I was like, wow, like now what am I going to work on? Because I can't get on the computer. And it had me, yes, it was glorious, actually.
Yeah.
So again,
I know it's never going to go back. I know it's never going to go back. And I know talking about it is a complete waste of time. But, I know many, many, many years of business without email.
Yes.
And it really was so much better, I have to say. The advantages that we have from it, and I know people are like, you're out of your mind, but the advantages that we have, okay, so I want to send you a picture of, this floor plan or this window treatment or whatever it is, and I can do it immediately. Okay, that's it. That is amazing. We used to actually have to mail it to you. We used to have to take a Polaroid picture of the stupid thing and mail it to you. I get that is a lot easier.
With a stamp. Yep.
Exactly. But the thing is, we had this conversation at WindowWorks yesterday. There are more than 400 emails that come in to that business in a day. And I'm going to tell you, 60% of them are nonsense.
Yeah.
Like nonsense.
That's why.
It's just time waster. And I don't even mean junk or spam, but I mean questions that have no business being in an email. Like no business whatsoever. Hi, can I get an appointment to, have my, client's window treatments measured? Yeah, you can. Why don't you pick up the phone and call and actually make the appointment?
Well,
I mean, it's insane, because
that's
what's
what's the
the answer
problem
to
with
that?
email the other way is that no one's
Yeah,
having any conversations with each
exactly.
other.
It is
Yeah.
it's mind-boggling to me. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me because that email is not designed to complete the task. That email is just designed to say, I did what my principal asked me to do. I reached out to
Right.
Window Works to get a measure. It drives me out of my mind. So, don't mind me on my soapbox here.
But yeah, there's the other side of it is how much time are we wasting
Yes.
on these little things that really don't have any that aren't meaningful. And then what can we do about it? I guess is the other question is, okay,
Right.
so if that's something that's required in your business, of course you can't get around that. What can you implement in your business so that you could take that, take that out of the equation? Is there an online scheduler? Is there something else that you could do?
Yeah.
And maybe you have thought of this, but that's the only other way is to just try to make the everything more efficient if possible.
Yeah.
But
No, it's
having
a
a
tough one.
gatekeeper will help.
Right, right, right. No, I hear it. So, okay, so we're putting in all our non-negotiables in the time blocking. Then we
Mhm.
are putting in there. So each day you're putting in 2 half-hour blocks to do your email. Now, if
Right.
you are doing your email yourself, Pamela, and you do not have a gatekeeper at this point in your
Mhm.
business, are you suggesting that we create our own folder? So for the things that are just like that, like this has to be done today, this could be done by the end of the week, this is long term thinking, this is big thinking, you make your own folder
Oh
so
yeah.
that, okay, so tell us a little bit about that
So
strategy.
of course you can create, I mean, I'm talking specifically about what I use, which is Gmail. You can create infinite number of folders. You can also create, I have one that's like a follow-up folder, which is just items that maybe I've sent a response to somebody, but I'm waiting for their
Okay,
response, that has to, you can't forget that one. So you
right.
put that in the follow-up folder. You can set something up where it's like today, this week, this month. And so you're literally like going, it's like you're sorting the mail. You ever hear that
Yes,
idea where you go to the mailbox, you sort the mail, and you literally do not bring the junk mail in the house, you throw it right out
right,
before
right,
you even get in, and then you do
right.
think something with the two pieces that you now have. That's what you do.
Right.
So you're just sorting. You're sorting.
Okay. And then you have what time what do you then further block in your calendar different times for different types of email tasks? So, for instance, follow
Mhm.
up emails, do you like maybe just put in every Thursday because you just got to go in and see who you're waiting for a status from, or did a vendor get you an invoice, or did a client pick something? And then, but like daily is obviously you're putting in time every day for the things to be done today. Talk to us about that layer.
Yeah, so I do the couple times a day to just check the email, and then for follow-ups, I would do that once a week. And so I would just do that on Thursdays and just make sure that everything, because I like Fridays to be a day where you're kind of buttoning up as much as you can from
Mm.
from the week so that you can start the week fresh.
Mm-hmm.
So Thursdays would be the day that I would go ahead and just look at those follow-ups and make sure that at least it's moved forward, or again, send another follow-up
Right, right,
to
right,
the
right, right.
follow-up.
Right, 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 right. And what other categories? Are there other categories we should consider? So we have the follow up folder. We have due today, due this week, due this month.
Mhm.
Are there other categories that you have in your folders?
So for me, I just have, of course, client information. I will put
Mm,
all of that. And then, I do a lot of marketing. So I will do, I have an active prospects folder so that I can just follow those conversations until, of course, people become clients.
mm.
And I do have, an active marketing folder and then subfolders in there. I also have a folder for some of my virtual assistants that I use for them to review certain items because they have access to my email. And that's a folder just for them to look at.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so is this the absolute literally the definition of just because it's easy it doesn't mean it's simple, that it really is just time blocking with intention and scheduling in the non-negotiables, and then scheduling in the different types of work that you would do on different days in order to get more done in one day than you previously got done in a week. Is that it? Is it as simple and hard as that at the same time?
Is anything simple just as it sounds? It sounds wonderful. It sounds like it's so
Right.
easy. But the issue is that we tend to grossly underestimate how long something's going to take. And this, of course, exposes that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was working with a coaching client last week, and she literally wanted me to sit on the computer with her via Zoom, and we literally laid out her schedule for the next 6 weeks because she had so many projects and so many different phases, and she didn't know what she was going to have time to do. And we laid it out, and I was like, you have only so many hours in the day,
Mm.
and you have grossly overbooked yourself.
Wow.
And when people they get jobs that people call, and they just take the job because they're fearful that they're going to not make what they need to make this month, so they take the job, right? They take the job. Well, when she laid out the next 6 weeks, I mean, she was working 12 hours days for the next 6 weeks, and there was room in there for nothing,
Wow.
no mess ups. And so the thing that was very interesting that kind of exposed a couple different things. One, that she overbooked herself. The second thing is, if she felt like she wasn't making enough money and she was overbooked, that means she wasn't charging enough.
Yes.
So that became very clear that, oh, something's got to change here. And then the other thing that became very clear was the product mix that she was working on. She had little projects, she had big projects, she had medium-sized projects, and she started to realize, which was really wonderful, she's like, I can't take these smaller projects because my business is rolling. I have so many bigger projects. To fit these in is very difficult.
Mm.
And so it exposed a lot of things in her business that really made her realize, I need to be charging more. I need to be getting really mindful on the projects I take, because she had taken some projects that were smaller that she wasn't in love with because she was worried that she
Mm.
was never going to get another project again, right? And then one of her ideal, scenarios came up, and she wanted to take it because it was a
Mm.
project she really wanted to do. So she's squeezing it in. And we all
Mm.
know how that works, right?
Right. Not good.
Yeah, so this time blocking is more than also being efficient. It's just understanding that we have finite hours in the day, and if we're not making enough money by putting these blocks of time in, that maybe we're not charging enough.
Mm. I think that's such a great little awakening there for somebody when, like in that exercise you did with your client. If you really look at a 4, 5, 6 week period of your calendar, even if you look back at it and you really are putting everything in that you're doing and you are jammed to the gills and you're not making money, then it's exactly one of the first places to look at your fees and what you're charging, because that's crazy, right?
It is crazy. And the thing that was really interesting is she called me the next day and said, 2 hours after we did the session, I got a call for a new job.
Mm.
And I knew instantaneously that I could not take anything until, I think she said, whatever, end of June,
Right,
because my
right.
calendar had completely been blocked. So we took the hours that I mean, everyone estimates, even though we do flat fees, that's, something that I really believe in. Even though you do flat fees, you're coming up with some sort of number of hours. I mean,
Right.
you've got to start somewhere. And so we were taking the project completion, or whatever the deliverable date was, and then backing up however many weeks we needed and how many hours were left based on our estimation. And then we were blocking those hours out. So, 8 hours to this project every week, 6 hours to this project, and we were literally fitting it all in. And that's how you can also really figure out, how far booked are you? And when someone calls, instead of saying, well, let me look at it, or I can take it on, you can say, no, I can't take
Right.
anything until July. And you're very confident about it. And that breeds a lot of really good things, is when you're super confident, right?
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, as the consumer, I would much rather you tell me in April or May that I love to do this project and here's the pricing for it. And me as a consumer says, yay. However, I can't start until July. I would much rather know that in April or May than you just say yes, yes, yes. And I can't hardly get your attention for all of May and June. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with this person? Right. And you're trying to just keep me at bay and you're trying to answer, do little bits here and there. And, thinking I'm not going to notice you're not involved. You know what I mean? Like I would much rather you just look at me and say, I'll see you July 10th. I'll be like, great. Have a great summer. I'll see you then. You know what I mean? Because if I've decided you're my person, right?
Right. And a luxury client wants that. That's the level of customer service we should be giving luxury clients. I mean, we talk about all day about how great our customer service is.
Right.
Communication is one of the easiest ways to give a luxury experience, in my opinion, because I don't think we communicate enough. So over communication is key.
That's genius. Like right there. We're going to say that again. Communication is one of the ways to give a luxury experience. Like I love that, Pam. I love that. That is so key. Love that so much. It's so true because it is when you have, to your point a few moments ago, the confidence to say exactly what it is, now it just is what it is. Like I say to my designers that I work with, it's easy breezy. Just say it. It is what it is. And when it comes from confidence and it comes from an informed place because you've looked at your calendar and you know that you can't put the due attention to this client until a certain date, just tell the client that. Right? Yes, 1 out of 4 will say never mind and clack their heels down the hall and go to somebody else. But the other 4, because they really did vet everybody else. You're not the only person they called. They decided on you. They made other calls. They've looked at other people's Instagrams. They've decided on you. This is a lifetime thing that they're getting, and they'll wait 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks for it or 2 months for it if they want. Right?
And how much more professional and organized do we look? I mean, we all, you need to be organized as a designer. There's just no two ways about it. And this just makes you look even more professional and organized than anyone else.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. It's, me with my silly restaurant analogies. It's the same thing. If what is that thing where you have to order the souffle as you order your main course because it takes the chef like an hour and a half to make the damn thing or something?
Yeah.
It's like ordering it when you're done dinner and the waiter going, well, okay, I'll do my best. I'll just, and he's back there screaming at the chef and the chef's like, it's not gonna happen. It takes an hour and a half. But the waiter's just coming back a couple more minutes. Oh, can I get you another coffee? Can I get you another after dinner drink? And doing all the tap dancing. But meanwhile, if he had just said to you, sorry, you're either going to sit here an hour and a half and wait for this thing or order it the next time you come in when you order your dinner. Way different experience than sitting there pissy, waiting and trying to figure out where your souffle is coming because you're the only person on the planet that knew it needed an hour and a half to do it. You didn't know that they needed it, right?
Yeah, and you're managing expectations. That's all people want to know is they just want to know what they're dealing with. And a lot of clients have never hired a designer before, or again, we all do it differently. So that's another, thing they need to navigate in this new world. So if we just tell them what to expect, they can feel much more confident and settled in what they're dealing with.
That's 100% it, because in that analogy, we're talking about the restaurant goer who has no idea the souffle takes an hour and a half. They simply order it, and the waiter goes, oh, but I really want it. Okay, let me see what I can do. That's the equivalent right there. Coming into your business, I want this project done. Great. We are all happy, blah, blah, blah. They want to get started, and you don't tell them you can't start for 3 months. That's the exact equivalent. Whereas, when you say it up front, hey, did you know it takes an hour and a half to do this? Oh, well, that's fine. We're here for the night. Let's just sit and chat. Bring me another scotch, right? Like, like easy breezy, or, oh, heck no, I got to get out of here. You know what I mean? It's like, it's that upfront thing. And it pains me when designers don't lead the conversation. That's the thing. We're coming to you as the professional, and you have all the cards. You know how the game is played. You know what the deliverables are and how much time it takes to do them. And you can't assume because we're asking for something that seems unreasonable that it's because we know it's an unreasonable ask. Sometimes it's they just don't know, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And I was going to say you're allowing them the luxury of a choice where they can say I'm in or I'm out.
Right.
And again, that's another, like, people want to feel in control.
That's
We all want to
powerful.
feel in control, and clients want to feel like they're at least understanding. And that just gives them a choice. You can wait the 2 months, or you can go look at someone else. And so
Right.
they know what they're getting into.
And when they decide to wait, now the ball is in your court.
Right.
If they want to call you in 2 weeks and say, can't you please? It's like, sweetie, we had this conversation. I'll see you in July.
Right.
Stop. Right? Like
Right.
inside voice, outside voice, we say it nicer. Right.
There may
Right.
be a few expletives in there. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like when a grown-up makes a choice, it's like they have the choice to make it. It's when I think we mistakenly assume that we have to do whatever it takes in order to say yes. And we don't. We have to do what it professionally takes to say yes. Right? And if it professionally
Exactly.
takes waiting 2 months to start something, that's how you say yes to the project. Right?
Right.
So that's so good. Good points in there, Pam. Good points in there. And I love it. The communication is the differentiator in a luxury experience. 100%.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this a lot of information comes from, honestly, I learned this from Amber as well, Amber de la Garza as well, like that whole time blocking thing. And I remember a couple of years ago, she said to me, go through your calendar and just put in for the year, not just your professional non-negotiables like you mentioned, but, and I'm sure you probably
Personal.
do it as well. Yeah. Like, your hair needs to be dyed every 5 weeks. So, it takes 3 darn hours to do it. Put it in, your dentist appointment twice a year, all the things. And just putting in the hair appointments was just like, are you kidding me with this? But I'll tell you what, I did that for 2 years. This year, I haven't done it yet. It's already May practically, and I haven't done it yet. But the 2 years that I did it, my hair, I never walked around with gray roots because it was planned. It was scheduled. I did it in January and put it out there every 5 weeks. And every 8 weeks was a haircut. And every 5 weeks was a color. It was a glorious thing. It was amazing. And I never canceled it. I never blew it off because it was built in,
It makes such a difference. I even put date nights on the calendar too. So I mean,
good
the
for you.
family outings, whatever. Those go in there. Those go in there too. But I mean, it's so easy to pre-schedule some of these things, like you mentioned. I mean, and that's all, again, part of self-care, right? We can't, as I say, we can't keep giving if our own tank is empty. So we have to make sure that we're scheduling in the me time, whatever that turns out to be. So pre-scheduling, that's super important.
Yeah, no. And I just love that. I feel like, Sarah Brennan has talked about it on the show often, how, she has, to your point earlier, when you're doing a flat fee, it's based in reality. We're not just like, hey, here's a number, right? We're putting together how many hours this project will take for us to do. And when she starts with your introductory discovery call, if that leads to the consultation and the consultation leads to a contract for a project, like literally she goes back to the office and it's like 2 weeks from this date this happens, 4 weeks from this date this happens, 6 weeks from this, and 2 months from that, and all, not only are all the client meetings set for the duration of the project at the onset, but then it gets built, gets pulled right out of her calendar. So she has, to your point, she's got, say, design hours blocked in, say Tuesdays and Thursdays. All right. And so if a client gets sold, immediately the Tuesdays and Thursdays during the design period of that client, they get labeled to that designer, that client, that project. And if she has 8 hours available for design and she needs 2 hours per week per client, but there's, to your point, when she's looking on her calendar and she's in a discovering call, she knows, do I have any design hours left in the next month? Do I have any consultation hours? She has consultation hours scheduled aside, and new consults are on this day.
Yep.
So if you call her, that's the day it happens. If you can't get one for 3 weeks, that's okay, because that's how it goes. And there's just such power and confidence in in the way she runs her business because of that. She never takes a client on and wonders, will she have all that backup time there to execute the project because it's all blocked out.
Right. And it keeps things, kind of what I would, came to mind as civilized. I mean, it's just a
Yes.
matter of we're not running ragged, we're not harried. We understand. And we thrive in designers thrive in control and, boundaries, right? That's what
Yes.
we love all that. If we know exactly what we're dealing with. And those are easy things for us to create in our own business. You can set up Trello boards, all with pre-done dates, put in for a project, and you just, insert the new project. So there's some great tools that you can literally really help yourself today. And what I would say is if someone's trying to do that even on their own, start building it when you're in the middle of a project. Just start doing it. You
Mm.
don't have to come it up from scratch. Just put it in and you'll build it as you go through one project. It'll be built by the end. So,
Mm. Good advice. Good advice. The thing about it is, Pam, is that it is one of those things that isn't really simple to do. It takes a lot of discipline. Would you
yes,
agree to
yes,
actually do it, right?
it does. And, I guess there's a saying that it's all hard, choose your hard, right? It's hard to fail and it's hard to be successful. And
That's
so
great.
why not choose the hard that kind of moves everything forward?
That's that's a good one. I've never heard that. It's all hard. It's hard to fail and hard to succeed.
Yes.
So choose the hard to succeed.
Yeah.
That's classic. I love that. That's so good. Well, I have to say, again, I've been through a little bit of this myself and I am, I'm tough to the game on this. And I think that's why I'm able to empathize with designers so closely is because I'm the same way. I'm that same rebel, visionary, creative entrepreneur. I'm not the person that sits down with the spreadsheets and all the things. And the first couple of times, okay, put all the dentist appointments in and put all the exercise in and put all the hair appointments in and blah, 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 right? Then it's like, oh, so emails, like answering emails on this day. So it's same thing, opening the emails and then time to answer the emails. And I remember, and I had an assistant at that point, and she was doing the folders and setting up the emails. And here it comes in my calendar, 11 o'clock on Tuesday, answer emails in XYZ folder. And I'm going to tell you what, I think it took me a month and a half before I did it on the day it was in my calendar. Like I legit, I was like, nah, I don't feel like doing this. I was like,
Yeah.
I opened it up, I started reading them. I was like, I am not in the headset for this right now, and I was just like, nah, let me just open regular email and see what came in today, or let me just like go write an intro, outro, or let me just go do this. And it wasn't like, hey, I'm like off to La La Land. I still was getting something done, but I'm going to tell you what, I'll bet you it was a full month or a month and a half before I literally opened that folder and went, okay, I'll do this darn folder now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think all of that, I think the biggest aha moment comes from being aware.
Yes.
Being
Yeah.
aware of where I'm spending my time, why am I pushing things off? That those things are so telling, and that's why we go through these exercises is so that we can be aware. Remember earlier in the conversation, I was like, at the end of the day, you're like, what did I spend my day on?
Hmm.
Now you'll at least know
Yes.
that you either
Yes.
pushed something off or you did something else, or so it's clues. Success leaves clues, as I say. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to understand, maybe can I give that to somebody else? Do I really need to do it? Yeah, sometimes you got to do the stuff that's not fun, but there also may be a way to hand some of that off. So
Yeah.
it's good to
Yeah.
know all that.
Yeah. And I mean, all I can say is my experiences is when you do it, when you do see it in the darn calendar and you open it up and you do it, whatever it is, and when it's done, it's like, it's like learning a marathon. You're like, oh, I did
Yeah,
that.
you're like,
Like,
where's my gold medal, right?
exactly. It's like totally like you want to call everybody and go, I did the thing,
Somebody give me a cookie. I did the thing for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you do. I mean, it's not easy. That's the thing, because we are creatures of habit and we know what we like to do and what we don't like to do. And it's
Right.
no secret when you're looking at something in your calendar that you don't like to do that. It's like like your brain goes, yeah, you don't like that. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, I
don't
know.
do that. You can wait. It can wait another day,
Exactly.
right?
And you can, rationalize in 5 seconds something else that you should do.
Right.
So it's crazy. Any other advice or tips in rounding out that, how to get more done in a week, a day than you used to in a week, Pam?
So a couple other things that I would say is definitely put a little like buffer time between tasks so you're
Mm,
not going from one directly to another. Even if it's just 10 minutes, get up, walk around, clear your head. It kind of just gets you out of one mode and into another mode. So
mm,
just give a little bit. We tend to, stack them up, and sometimes we just need a couple minutes to let it settle out, right? And
mm,
transition from one event to another. The other thing I would say is literally, you might chuckle at me on this one, but to put a little thinking time um, into your calendar. Now, like I said, I do it in the mornings. It's quiet. You know, there's not a lot of activity going on, and that's really helpful for me because I don't know. Have you ever done your best thinking like in the shower or in the
right.
car, like you didn't know where you were because you were thinking and you got to your destination. You're like, how did I get here?
Right.
Um, our brain needs we need to understimulate our brain sometimes. We're getting
Mm,
so many things from so many bings and bongs and various, levels of stimulation. We need to let it quiet so that, as I say, it can dream a little bit, gives it a
mm.
little bit of room to really think of some great ideas. So I would just say also just make sure there's a little space in your day.
I like that. I like that. There's so many ways that our day organically creates that, right? Like you said, the car. Car
Mhm.
is a big one. You all of a sudden, like I always say, how do we get this 2,000 pound vehicle 25 miles away and not notice a single turn, right?
Right.
That's scary,
Right.
right? Right.
Yes.
Exactly. But the thing is, to your point, is if you don't have scheduled car time coming up, and maybe it's a week or two or whatever it is that where you do your thinking to schedule it in. It's for me, it's walking and
Hmm.
driving.
Yep.
Both. It's walking and driving, and it's crazy. Like, you should see the Voxers blowing up on for my team when I'm out walking or driving. They're just like, oh, there she goes again. Okay.
The ideas
So
are flowing, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like, and of course, I'm walking and driving, so I can't capture them. So I'm like, hey, make a note of this, and let's do that. And what about this idea? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? So, and I find too, it's listening to podcasts, it's listening to audible books, and I'm listening intently to the ideas, and then all of a sudden I got to turn it off because it literally sparks something that will work in my life, my business, whatever it is. And now I'm off dreaming and plotting and scheming on it, and then creating those ideas over there, or so it's just fun. And I love that time for thinking and dreaming. I think it is really, really important, and it does really always help us move our businesses forward. And what I hope is it helps us move our businesses forward in the vision that we have for our businesses,
Hmm.
right? As opposed to just where the business is organically going, that we're
Right.
always steering it to the type of business that will serve us, right?
Yeah, something more intentional,
Mm-hmm.
something that we're crafting. And I think ideating as creatives is the best way to keep us fresh, right? We just love to create ideas, and we need to allow more of that in our own business. And crafting where our business is going instead of reacting is so super important.
100%. Definitely, definitely. Well, I have to say, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. It's like a booster shot of, discipline for me. It's like, oh yeah,
It's a
all
little
the
B12,
things.
a little B12 shot for you.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's how I am. I'm a work in progress constantly with productivity. I'm never not busy, that's for sure. But, truth be told, I can be a person that will slide in productivity because of all the big ideas and all of the
Hmm.
shiny things and all the things. And
Yes.
it's nice to have a conversation with someone like you, Pam, that can bring us back to that and remind us of how valuable it is for us to be intentional and mindful in our businesses. So thank you so much. I appreciate your being with us today.
Thank you. And I think you bring up a good point is that we are imperfectly perfect, right? So we are always going to be a work in progress and we should, always be patting ourselves on the back for our progress. So I think that's a good final thought to keep is that, as long as we're trying and moving forward, it's all good. So thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. I love how Pamela defines the importance of our tasks, right? She says that time has a currency to it. And like my friend and colleague, Madeline McRae, she also talks about the $10 task, the $100 task, the $1,000 task, and our $10,000 task, right? Pamela's resolution: time blocking your non negotiables, those high currency tasks with intention, so that you're not spending your days hour after hour in the $10 and $100 hour tasks, right? A lot of us make schedules and we complete the tasks during the day, but then we think, what did I actually get done? When you time block, you are setting aside specific time per week solely dedicated to that specific task. And you want to be doing it mostly in those, $1,000 and $10,000 an hour tasks, right? Schedule it and it gets done. For example, Pamela talked about her daily block in the morning where she does her morning routine. And this is where she does her $10 task, like checking email. This task is twice a day for only 30 minutes because we know what a rabbit hole email can be. Do not get me started. And sticking to the email for just a second, I'm sure you agree that 60% of emails are nonsense. I mean, imagine the time we waste constantly checking those and not completing them. I may be speaking from experience, not sure. Okay. If you absolutely need to constantly know what's going on in your inbox, Pamela suggests that you get an email gatekeeper. This is someone who would sort through your email and send them to the right people and to you for any ones that need your attention. And I would tell you, if you can't do this, if you can't have a gatekeeper, you can gatekeep yourself. You can block time and create folders and block time to put the emails in folders. And, one folder is must get done today, right? Another folder is, when I get to it, whatever, right? So, other examples of how Pamela blocks her time is that she schedules client meetings for Tuesdays and Thursdays only, right? I know a lot of designers that do this. So, if you think this can't be done, think again. I know Sarah Brennan does it. Dane Austin does it. I could go on and on. There are many designers that do this successfully. And also, so many of you have adopted Finance Fridays. I love this. Pamela does it. Many, many designers do it. So if you think you can't, think again. And I'll tell you, the Vincenz has done Finance Fridays for 40 plus years. Friday's the day he takes care of all the money, right? Of course, you can fine tune as you go, but the idea of time blocking and determining the currency of your tasks is to establish routines and determine which tasks are actually money generating tasks, right? This is the thing. If you are looking at a 4 to 6 week booked out calendar that is jam packed with no wiggle room, then you're probably not making the money in the first place because you're not prioritizing what you need to be doing. Okay, so it's something to think about. All right. With that said, Pamela has another great tip to put in transition time between tasks, not to do things one right after another, to give your brain a little wiggle room itself, right? A little break with some informal thinking times. Sometimes we need to understimulate our brains, right? So that we have the space for it to pull those bigger ideas, all right? And look, if you get an inquiry from an ideal client but can't get to them for a couple of months, what are you going to do, right? You have to be honest. Tell them that. It's like I always say, it is what it is. They'd be more appreciative of your honesty rather than you saying yes and then you never get to them or give them the time they deserve, okay? Pamela brought this up and it's so true. The communication is one of the main ways to provide a luxury experience, right? True on-point communication, not what you wish to happen, but what you actually can commit to doing, all right? Now, we have the link in the show notes where you can download Pamela's book, Elevate, for free. Yes, thank you, Pamela. She's giving it to you for free. All right. Make sure you download it and work in your zone of genius every day. This helps you attract your all-star clients and successfully manage your time. I know time blocking isn't easy. Believe me, like I said, I'm a work in progress. I set it up, I do it, I ignore it, I go by it, and then I do it again. And that can be all in one day, right? So it takes practice and it takes discipline. But even the attempt at it, like I said, in one day, I can have 2 successful time blocks and 2 that are not successful. But if I didn't have any there, I wouldn't have any of them done, right? So consider this other quote that Pamela said, and I love it. It is hard to fail, and it is hard to be successful. So why don't you choose hard to be successful, right? You're going to get up every day and do something. Put some intention behind what you do. It's so refreshing to have someone like Pamela on to remind us of the value of being mindful in our business. Thank you tons, Pamela, for your insights. And thank you for listening. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.